leggibilissimo facilmente, da battaglia. Is there a difference between war and battle? Of course there is. Battle is less serious than war. War normally is associated to something long, difficult. A battle can be shorter, first, involving less people, softer, in one word. Fatigue is impossible to be used when we need to describe such a mental condition, which is a suffering condition, a painful condition, and something very negative and very difficult to overcome. Difficilissimo superare un esaurimento di questo tipo. So, battle fatigue really hides everything. Why do you think that the English language, or the American language in this case, American English, or the people, of course, the culture, the society, needed to hide this? It's again an agent deletion. They deleted the agent because they made through language, we don't know whom, but they made such a horrible condition more acceptable. So the responsibility of many people, politicians, etc., that organized wars and sent young people basically to die or to come back in those horrible conditions is felt less strong, easily, less strong. Battle fatigue. 4 syllables now, takes a little longer, and then it plays a lot on the length. Of course, it is really close to Orwell's definition, cloudy language. Long, exhausted idioms for battle fatigue. And then it becomes really, really long in the last case. So the long, elaborate descriptions that makes your mind almost distracted. Shell shock is just there, like a gunshot, very easy. And then the war in Korea, and the very same combat condition was called operational exhaustion. Now, exhaustion, again, is something like exhausted, like fatigue. If you are exhausted, we have commented this yesterday, so I won't repeat. But operational means that you don't operate anymore. Function. And he says, not only we are up to 8 syllables, but it sounds like something that might have happened to your car. So what is missing? What haven't I added in this paragraph? Yes? Brava. Bravissima. Non l'ho messo apposta. Qui, the very same combat, operational exhaustion. Continui. Lì, there, he says, they took away, how do you say? Not the personal, but it's much stronger, much more direct. The humanity. They took humanity away. And how can you disagree with this? They took the humanity away. Because fatigue and shock are two human conditions. But there, operational exhaustion is almost as if soldiers, American soldiers of course, were reduced to machines. But that was a very common expression to be used after the Korea War in the 50s. Operational exhaustion. Of course, that then, after Orwell, and all the reflection on language, populist language became so popular, in fact, because people were really started to be tired of these lies, of this untruthful language. Also because at the same time, many people were easily manipulated into this. 8 syllables. The reduction of human people who suffered from this terrible disease and disorder almost into transformation into robots or machines or machinery. And then, of course, the Vietnam. Of course, Vietnam is a very delicate issue in American history and politics. And thanks to the lies and deceit surrounding that war, I guess it's no surprise that the very condition was called post-traumatic stress disorder. Still 8 syllables, but now we have an hyphen, a trattino. And the pain is always completely buried under jargon. So he calls these euphemistic expressions jargon, gergo, forme gergali, which is also possible to be accepted. But the pain is definitely buried into a very long, technical, almost scientific expression, which is in fact in American English shortened as PTSD. PTSD. They say if you watch Law and Order, it happens all the time, especially for cases of rape. Suffering from PTSD. PTSD is something that we can't understand. It is a ritual expression, an exhausted expression. It doesn't mean anything. There is no pragmatic meaning left. Because we don't like it. Of course we don't like it. Who likes traumas or who likes to be traumatized? But what is the stance of Carlin? And that is my question. I bet you means è una challenge. Ti sfido, ci scommetto, scommetti. I betcha. If we were still calling it shell shock, some of those Vietnam soldiers might have gotten the attention they needed at the time. I bet you. So, of course, the perlocution here is very evident, according to Carlin. So, if we use all these disguised expressions, then society ends up to stop noticing the real problem of these people, which derives from the real problem of war. So it is a very persuasive kind of language, because it deletes the attention, according to him, that these soldiers should have. Scommetti pure che se lo chiamassimo ancora shell shock o shock da granata, alcuni di questi soldati del Vietnam avrebbero avuto l'attenzione che di cui loro avevano bisogno al tempo. Do you know all these Vietnam people, Vietnam soldiers who are suffering from this in a permanent condition? So it's almost impossible for them to be cured. Where do they go? Where are they sent? I discovered this during my research on American varieties of English in Honolulu or the Hawaii, which are American, you know, of course. So if you walk in Honolulu, in the richest areas full of American, Russian, Japanese rich people, there it's full of these mad people in the street, really mad, and you don't really understand what happens. And why are they sent there? And they're all veterans, they have medals and everything, veterans from Vietnam, so they're quite old now. They are 60 to 80, or maybe younger. Why? Because of the weather, of course, because there is always nice and they can really easily live on the street. There is a seaside, it's always springtime, summertime, very mild, breezy, and everything. So, it is an American issue. This is not a digression, it's just to ask you, what is George Carlin's stance here? Of course, he's against euphemistic expressions. That is obvious. But why do you think that he constructed such a long speech? What was his intention, his illocutionary intention, in creating such a careful reflection on the power of this language that disguises the truth? What political language is he using? What political message is he delivering in the speech? stance. Stance means the way you position yourself, as I have written in your email, the way you position yourself towards an ideology, an issue. Of course, it's against euphemistic language or untruthful language. But why? What is his ultimate goal? What does he want to express? What political message he wants to express? In favor or against America? Okay, so he wants to denounce the fact that using this language, many important things or issues or events of this kind are considered less important. True, obvious, very good. Yes, they not only sanitize, probabilmente è una espressione giusta, sanitizzare, how can I say in English, in Italian? Naturalizzare, neutralizzare, to sanitize. In English is very appropriate, come se fosse un igienizzare quasi. They sanitize the language, but they sanitize or neutralized the historical dramatic events. So of course, Carlin's stance is totally against those governments that favored that war. And we can say so many things, one at a time. Well, of course, maybe the government is trying to, or was trying to justify these kinds of war. And I think we can actually delete the maybe. It was obvious like this. It was obviously like this, sorry. Because many people are against wars. Many people, of course, try their best. Just 1 second. And, of course, they had to continuously justify, like the war on terror had to be justified, because people didn't like it, of course.
And maybe he also he shows this evolution to show how things don't, like the phenomenon is always the same, but the way it is looked at like changes, but not that fast. So I don't know how to explain it.
Okay, if I understand well, the problem is always there. So as I said in my introduction, the semantic meaning, so the meaning of this is always a combat condition, something that is derived from combat, from wars. But then the way it is such a combat condition is looked at changes over time. That's what she said. But more than looked at, I would say that it is looked at in a different way because the language has changed. So according to the language used, then society or parts of society can look at the phenomenon in a different perspective. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So it is the pragmatic meaning of those expressions, operational exhaustion, depriving the humanity. So, of course, if we keep hearing over time, remember that the relationship between language and ideology covers long stretches of time. So it doesn't really happen overnight. Overnight means nel giro di una notte, quindi dal giorno, come si dice? Dal giorno alla mattina, da un giorno all'altro, da un giorno all'altro, overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over long stretches of time. But, to answer, I can't remember your name, sorry. Is it really long? Also, I'm thinking about this right now. Is it really long? If we think of long periods of history, normally for a historian or one of your history teachers, who's that? Federica Morelli, maybe? Can't remember.